Now, let me talk about the fourth determinant of Korean foreign policy making, which is the ROK-US alliance, which is a primary determinant of South Korean foreign policy. First, superpower confrontation during the Cold War. After the end of World War II, a lot of people expected a coexistence and peace of world politics. But surprisingly, the world did not turn out like the people expected. The bilateral tension between the two superpowers became to grow, but think about their alliance during the World War II. The US and the Soviet Union were allies against Germany, but after the war, they turned as an enemy. There could be many reasons for that. But many people, many scholars are having different opinions on that. So there's no exact explanation why the US and the Soviet Union turned an enemy after the war. But anyway, the bilateral tensions after the war became severe, and it had penetrated to all over the world in world politics. And particularly the bilateral confrontation created the bipolar conflict. The bilateral conflicts or tensions between the two superpowers after the Second World War developed into a peculiar situation in world politics, the so-called bipolar conflict. Bipolar means two poles in world politics. This is US and USSR. And there's a secondary alliance and tertiary alliance and followers and friends. These are the structure of the bipolarity. These bipolar conflicts of superpowers created a endless worldwide crises, and ROK had a continuous threat from Pyongyang during the Cold War period. So the world was divided into two camps, Western camp and Eastern camp. So all the countries in the world had to join either camp, either Western camp, American camp, or Eastern camp, the Soviet camp. And this bipolar brinkmanship conflict between the two superpowers never allowed neutrality. So the world was divided into two, either US side or Soviet side. And this polarity provides the security and assistance. Same thing, security and assistance in military and economic sense. And South Korea was over here as part of the tertiary alliance, and also it is a serious threat from North Korea. So from 1950s to 1980s, South Korea is a close ally to the US, totally depended its security on the US. In this sense, South Korea did not have any autonomous foreign policies or could not making any foreign policies according to its own will. It strongly depended its security policies on the United States, and also depended on economic and military assistance too. By definition, bipolarity can be defined as a system of world order, which the majority of global, economic, military, and cultural influence is held between the two states. classic case of bipolar worlds is that of Cold War between the U.S. and USSR. And there are bipolarity or bipolar conflicts of two characteristics. First, two rival powers cannot remain in equilibrium independently. In other words, they are having peace forever, because one has to surpass the other. Either the US or the Soviet Union has to surpass the other. Therefore, conflict is inevitable. Second characteristic is that global order is not stable during periods of bipolarity, but instead warfare appears to be necessary for the resolution of rivalry. Warfare. So always global order is not stable, so war is a only source, only resolution to solve their problems out of the fierce rivalry between the two superpowers. So the bilateral conflict is structural, and so it's hard to break out or to break that structure. Second element that I want to mention is the U.S. military and economic aid. As a close ally to the United States, U.S. supplied a total of $12.6 billion in economic and military assistance to South Korea between 1946 to 1976 for 20 years. Can you believe it? $12 billion economic aid and military aid. It is the more money per capita of aid than any other foreign countries except South Vietnam during the Vietnam War and Israel, in these days Afghanistan. So in American history, American poured the money most is Afghanistan, South Vietnam, Israel, and South Korea. So the influx of American money has been accompanied by corresponding flow of American technology and technical expertise. So American money came with American technology and technical expertise. With American money, South Korean government successfully established the many factories, which are private factories and military-related factories, and also American experts and expertise and consultants came together and helped those factories, and technical expertise too. And also, America provided the almost unlimited access to the US market. Unlimited access to US market for the cheap South Korean merchandise. So in 1960s and 70s and 80s on, in American departments, almost all the merchandise is made in either Korea or Singapore or Taiwan those days. Almost all American merchandise sold in America was made in Korea, Taiwan, or Singapore. But now, obviously made in China. And few made in Korea, in America. But those days, South Korea was an unfair trading country. Built up invisible tariffs against foreign products and persuaded the public not to consume foreign products. Well, it is illegal to consume the foreign merchandise. Even it was illegal to smoke foreign cigarettes on the streets, something like that. And also South Korean government manipulated the exchange rates, tried to keep the value of South Korean money in a low profile. So in order to increase the exports and decrease imports. Now, the Vietnam War is a close ally of America. South Korea sent a total 320,000 soldiers to Vietnam War. And out of 320,000, 5,000 dead. It's an unfortunate thing to say that. 11,000 wounded, and 160,000 Agent Orange victims. You know what the Agent Orange is? It's a chemical. And American and South Korean soldiers sprayed Agent Orange in order to dry out the grasses and leaves of trees in order to secure the sites, to clear the site. But those days, people did not know Agent Orange caused a skin cancer. So after the Vietnam War, there are many people in America and Korea died out of the skin cancer because of they were exposed to the Agent Orange. Still, many victims of Agent Orange in Korea and America receive assistance from America and from the Korean government. During the Vietnam War, from 1968 to 1974, South Korea provided basic logistics for the war, including military equipment, foods, B rations, and C rations. You know what the rations are? C rations. In the wartime, you open the can and you can eat the food right away with the C rations. What about B rations? You open the canned food and you cook a little bit and eat it. That's B rations. So South Korea provided B rations and C rations to the soldiers in Vietnam. And military clothes, shoes, and buckles, all those kind of stuff. And construction equipment. South Korea did provide all basic logistics for the war. And it was the same thing. Japan provided basic logistics for the war during the Korean War. It was an economic momentum for the Japanese economy to become an advanced country. Same thing, Vietnam War provided a momentum for the South Korean economy. Also at the same time, Korean Engineering Battalion built roads, bridges, ports, airports, and highways in South Vietnam with the help of USF, US forces. Because Koreans did not have any know-how of building these infrastructures. So South Korea successfully accumulated the know-how of construction and also money. Because the salaries of South Korean soldiers were paid by the American government in US dollars. So with the Vietnam War, South Korea successfully accumulated the construction know-how and also the foreign currency, the US hard currency. During the whole Cold War period and the superpower rivalry in the bipolar conflict and the ROK-US military alliance, in addition, the continuous threat from North Korea did not provide any much room for autonomous foreign policies. In other words, South Korean foreign policies those days were US depending foreign policies. In this case, South Korea was not alone, not having much room for the autonomous foreign policies. In this kind of circumstances prevailed to most of developing countries, as well as some advanced countries, including Japan and other major allies in Western Europe.